Hi, everyone. Today we're going to cover drunken Pete Hegseth and how he's humiliating the country again in front of NATO, and the absurdity of the fact that, America's semi-functional alcoholic who is cosplaying Secretary of War but is actually the unqualified Secretary of Defense. We're going to cover how he is putting NATO on notice because he's going to review NATO, right? I'm going to show you a clip of that in just a few moments. And the other thing I want to cover, I'm going to do a quick little bit of coverage, some video from the toxic sludge-looking, algae-laden reflecting pool that the village idiot Donald Trump spent $14.2 million of our taxpayer dollars to hire a pool company to fix. And there's some pretty entertaining video on social media from that. And of course, I think we'll cover, I think it wouldn't be appropriate if we didn't review a little bit more about the Memorandum of Understanding, the Islamabad MOU, which is the complete capitulation and surrender by the village idiot Donald Trump to the Iranians. I know we covered that extensively yesterday, but I'm going to go into it a little bit more today because it's still a hot story. And then there is a story that slipped under the radar that you probably don't know about, but I think it's worth being aware of. And that is that Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin and I think one other Democratic member of Congress went to visit the prison where Ghislaine Maxwell is currently being held to sort of find out what's what. Why is she being treated so well? Why is she over there? What's the deal? So we're gonna get into that as sort of the last story, because the Epstein cover-up is with the Iran story slowly floating into the background in the news cycle and even in the internet cycle. The Epstein story is really starting to bubble up again, as it always will. It will never go away. But without further ado, let me just pull up the live streams, and so we can see who's here, and then we'll sort of go from there. Okay, so I have Twitch going. Let's see if YouTube is working today. Yes. I got YouTube working today. There's nothing, and it's never YouTube. It's Mitch. I don't know why it is that I often neglect to do the one thing that I need to do to make sure YouTube is working, which is what we call. What do we call? We're calling it's a fantastic word. It's got a stream key. We put in a stream key. And Mitch always forgets. He doesn't have any sense. But, I have to put a stream key in, a new stream key in every day. Don't worry what that is. If you don't know, it's unimportant in your life. To the extent that unless you're on YouTube and you're missing my live streams because I neglect to put it in, otherwise it doesn't really affect you negatively, but I'll still talk about it anyway. And let's see what we can do about getting Substack up and running right now. Okay, it looks good. It looks like the stream is here. And let me pull it up. And my apologies, as always, Substack, when I first pull the stream up, I can see how many people are here, but it takes a little while before I can see exactly who's here. My apologies, welcome, as always, Substack, when I first pulled the stream up. So if you're just joining us, in the introduction, before I pulled up the live streams, the topics that I hope to cover today. First and foremost, we're going to talk about drunken Pete Hegseth, the semi-functioning alcoholic who is cosplaying the tough guy warrior Secretary of War, but in reality is just just an unqualified schmuck who happens to be the current Secretary of Defense because chicken shit GOP senators were too afraid of the village idiot Donald Trump not to confirm him at the beginning of Trump's term. So Hegseth is. I'm going to cover Hegseth as threatening NATO, and we're going to get into that and confirm him. Secondly, I have a short clip that I'm going to share with you guys to show you about this resounding success that your $14.2 million taxpayer dollars paid to fix the reflecting pool, thanks to the village idiot Donald Trump, who hired a pool company to fix it, and it's just getting better every day. Then we're going to go over a little bit of the memorandum, the Islamabad MOU, which is the Memorandum of Understanding for the continued ceasefire with the Iran and the U.S., the makings of a peace deal, which is basically just the complete surrender and capitulation by the Americans to the Israelis. I'm sorry, to the Iranians, just basically paying them to stop the war. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Epstein files. Ghislaine Maxwell had a visit. Maybe not directly, but the prison that she's at had a visit from a couple of Democratic members of the U.S. House of Representatives to kind of get to the bottom of things. I don't know how successful they were, but I'm glad they did it. We'll talk about that. But let's start with Democratic members of the U.S. House of Representatives. I think before I even talk about it, I don't want to start. I mean, I do. I was about to say, I don't want to start this live. I think before pissing you off. I even talk about it. I don't come on here with the intent to aggravate you. I mean, at least for now, the name of this community is called Zenocracy. I think we're changing that. But for now, it's Zenocracy, right? It's Zen and democracy. So I talk about the fight to save democracy from idiotic authoritarianism, and I talk about I'm supposed to be counterbalancing that with Zen, with peace, with tranquility, with just finding a way. Oh, something wrong with the sound, Lacey? Two of my voices. With peace, tranquility, with just that is a problem. Let me see if this is something wrong with the sound, Lacey. I'm not sure what's going on here. Two of my voices. Let's see if this helps. That is a problem. Let me see if this is something wrong with the sound, Lacey. I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay, sorry about this. The technical problem. This has this. Let me put this in the chat as well. Something wrong with the sound, Lacey. I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay, sorry about this. The technical problem. This has this. Here two voices. Sometimes having the microphone, not on my ear. This is not called a microphone. This is a headset. Let's try microphone. Let's try something else because there's definitely a feedback problem. Let me see if there's anybody on Substack. I'm sorry, on YouTube or Twitch. I don't think so. If you're out there on YouTube and Twitch, can you guys let me know if you're hearing two voices? Because I need to know if it's Twitch here or there. So if you're out there on YouTube and Twitch, can you guys let me know if you're hearing two voices? Because okay, I just did a mute. How's that, Lacey? Any better? Or you're still hearing it? And while I'm at it, I'm going to do this. Okay, how's this now, guys? I turned off, I muted one thing that isn't me. That's better. Thanks, Lacey. Thanks, Winifred. All right, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. Thank you, guys. It's a weird technical glitch, so I'll check that out later. So, and I'm glad because you wouldn't want to hear two voices when you're listening to Pete Hegseth because honestly, he's aggravating enough just hearing one. So, as I was saying before, I screwed up the tech. I don't want to start this live out by stressing you out and pissing you off and listening to Pete Hegseth, drunken Pete Hegseth, threaten NATO and pretend that he's competent and that he's going to be the guy that is going to review them, right? Review their fitness. That this idiot is going to review their fitness for NATO, and like the U.S. is going to be taking charge and turning NATO into what it wants it to be. So I guess my apologies in advance for doing what I'm about to do to you, because I'm going to subject you to this. My apologies in advance for this, but I think you need to hear it. So I'm going to mute myself, so when I turn the sound on for this stream, you don't hear an echo, and then hopefully I'll remember to unmute myself because I have a tendency to forget to do that when I come back on. So let's do that. Hang on. Hang on, guys. Hang on, guys. Hang on, guys.
The United States has defended Europe for generations. And the president said, all he said was that our jets would need to take off from bases in Europe or our ships from ports. And the president said, all he said was that our jets would need to take off from bases in Europe or
Okay, guys. Now I know why you were hearing two voices because I just heard two voices, with a lag. So my apologies. The two voices were coming from the fact that I had I have on a separate monitor. I monitor the live stream, and I had the sound on from the live stream. So you're hearing me in the microphone, and then you were hearing my microphone picking up the sound uh, separately from the live stream from me, and I just heard that. So let's start this again. I've rectified the problem. I hope.
the United States has defended Europe for generations. And the president said, all he said was that our jets would need to take off from bases in Europe or our ships from ports to strike targets in the Middle East. Iranian targets that threaten European interests even more directly than they threaten us. But too many of our allies said no, or tried to drown us in arcane legal debates, or criticized us publicly for doing what they aren't prepared or able to do themselves. It was shameful. I'm announcing today a 6-month Department of War review that will examine America's force posture and basing in Europe. Up to 6 months, could be less.
So let me stop for a second. I know your blood is probably boiling right now, and I apologize. Take a deep breath. I mean, I hate to start things out this way, but so the semi-functioning alcoholic imbecile, who is the Secretary of Defense right now, is chastising the Europeans, and they choose. They don't have to. They choose to sit and listen to this idiot. I mean, if I were any of them and I were from any of those nations, I would have walked out. I wouldn't have sat and listened to this dunce who is so far beneath them, intellectually, militarily, professionally. I mean, this is a Fox News weekend host, right? They're getting lectured by a Fox News weekend host. On the day after, the idiot who his boss is basically surrendered to the Iranians, right? For a stupid, ridiculous war that was an embarrassment to the United States and was catastrophic financially and in more so in terms of human lives. 13 U.S. service members are dead because of this idiot we're looking at now, and the idiot in the White House. Approximately almost 4,000 or 3,700, or I don't know exactly what the number is, Iranians. Hundreds of people in the region, Israel, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, they're just these different places that were hit. They're all dead. 185 schoolgirls and their teachers in Iran that we murdered, that we committed a war crime on and blew up, that this moron, this feckless, meaningless, dingbatted moron should be held accountable for, instead of standing up and speaking to common sense, experienced military leaders in Europe. This idiot should be standing in front of the International Criminal Court at The Hague, trying to defend himself against crimes against humanity, against the murder of 185 children and their teachers. That's where this animal should be. But instead, he's trying desperately to defend the idiot who is his boss, and he's only capable of defending the idiot who is his boss because he's less of an idiot, because the high bar in the Trump administration, as I've said dozens of times, is crazy and stupid. And Donald Trump has superhuman powers of crazy and stupid. So as dumb, profoundly dumb as Hegseth is, he cannot, Donald Trump's level of stupidity is unachievable for him. Therefore, he is qualified to defend the idiot's awful decision to go into Iran because he's smarter than Donald Trump and can at least speak not intelligently, but can form full sentences, string them together, and use some big words. Which doesn't make him less of an imbecile, but makes him at least coherent when he's sober. So he is now justifying the idiot's war, telling the Europeans that they should be ashamed of themselves because they didn't let the U.S. use the U.S. bases, use their bases for the illegal war in Iran, for the ridiculous war in Iran. The European leaders had the moral conscience and the common sense and the political wherewithal not to get at all involved in the war. In some instances, with the exception of Spain, Italy, to a very limited extent, France, in some instances, these leaders didn't have the courage to criticize the war the way I did, and they should have. Although politicians in Spain did a great job of criticizing this war. And, but they certainly didn't stand behind it. And politically, they made a smart move because they would, I'm sure the public, I'm sure they did their own internal polling, and in all of these European nations, the public was like, fuck you. No, come on, stop it. Please, get a grip, get a reality check. So Drunken Pete Hegseth now chastising the Europeans and informing them that they should be ashamed of themselves because they didn't participate in an illegal, immoral, absolutely comically ridiculous, if it wasn't so catastrophic and tragic, war, that they didn't want to be involved in it. But the alcoholic, and again, I want to slap myself when I say that. Actually, I need to stop saying that because I think I even at some level need to stop calling him Drunken Pete Hegseth because I don't want to belittle the disease of alcoholism. It's a real disease that people suffer with and struggle to overcome. And, I'm realizing now, and I've thought about this for a while, but just it's important, I think, to make the point that Hegseth is an alcoholic, because if you suffer from the disease of alcoholism and you're actively in the throes of it, you're not in recovery, you cannot have a job as the Secretary of Defense. You can't until you recover. So, but at the same time, I feel that my consistently hammering, hammering Hegseth as referring to him as Drunken Pete Hegseth, is probably reaches a point where, I feel like I'm almost mocking the disease. So I just feel like I need to make that disclaimer that I'm not. But but he is an alcoholic, and I think that people need to be reminded over and over and over again. I just have to find a more eloquent way of doing it. And again, it's one of those things that I complain consistently that the media doesn't cover, and should, because they don't have the courage to go there. But if this were not anyone they were afraid of, if this was anyone in the Biden administration covering Hegseth's clear raging alcoholism, would be a topic. But anyway, so Hegseth is trying to shame the Europeans, which is laughable. And then he's following that shaming effort up, right, with, we are going to take a look at you guys. We're going to critique you guys. We're going to make sure you're meeting up to the expectations. We are going to make sure this clown is going to make sure that that the professionals meet his expectations. This putz. And this putz is going to redefine NATO. This putz, who was working for the idiot, who for years has basically complained that NATO shouldn't even exist anymore. There's no purpose to it. There's no point of it anymore. Has hammered NATO, yelled about NATO, complained about NATO. Neither of them understand NATO. Dumb and Dumber don't understand NATO. They couldn't even tell you what NATO's mission is. But this schmuck who fucked up the war in Iran, who surrendered to the Iranians, who basically illegally, went into, probably made some backdoor deal with the vice president of Venezuela and the Venezuelan regime, went in there and just easily took the, because there was basically no resistance, took the president of Venezuela and his wife back here and declared themselves great winners and brilliant military strategists. This schmuck, who either called for or probably did call for, probably placed the order, but doesn't have the courage to face it and is blaming it on the admiral or whoever, but called for no quarter on the enemy and probably called for innocent men on either a fishing boat or a drug boat to be murdered in cold blood when they were surrendering. This idiot, who basically before becoming the Secretary of Defense was a Fox News host and a guy who ran two small veterans nonprofits into the ground. This schmuck is the one who's going to be critiquing Europe's performance as it relates to NATO. He's going to call it NATO 3.0. Listen to the imbecile.
Let's call it the NATO 3.0 review. This review will be conducted with the benefit of inputs from the United States military, from European Command. It will involve consultations with the U.S. Congress and with our allies. It's a review that some countries will fail and others will pass with flying colors. In the end, the review is intended to both improve U.S. force posture and basing and strengthen NATO 3.0.
Now, take a deep breath, because I know that listening to that dunce say this is infuriating. So just take a deep breath with me. Release the rage. He's not worth it. But if this is what I would like to see happen, and this is what I think is going to happen. What I would like to see happen would be for NATO, all our European allies, the European Union, the EU, Great Britain, all NATO members in Western and Central Europe. I would like to see them tell him to go fuck himself. You can take your review and, like a piece of cheap toilet paper, you can wipe your ass with it. We're not going to meet with you. We're not going to review with you. And if you and the, your daddy who, who don't like what we do, if you want to pull the U.S. out of NATO, go fuck yourselves, right? Get a grip. You're an idiot. You're beneath us. We don't have, and I'd like to see them use that language. I would love to see the French say, enough. You're an idiot. You're surrounded by idiots. Take it or leave it. We're here. We're part of NATO. When you're done, when the next president comes in and it's a normal person, and when we don't have to deal with this bozo as the Secretary of Defense, we'll look at reforming and re-coordinating NATO efforts. But your options are shut the fuck up, go and find someone else to bother, keep your mouth shut. No, Pete, have a scotch and shut up. Don't say anything. Okay, these are your options. Your options are to shut the fuck up. We'll handle NATO. All you need to do is, if, say Great Britain is attacked by Russia or the Russians attack Poland, you just need to step up and do what you're supposed to do. Shut the fuck up about the war you lost. It isn't doing you you're not doing yourself any favors with Iran. We did you a favor by not getting involved in Iran. And, just keep your mouth shut and leave everything alone. That's one option. Or keep running your mouth, keep threatening us, and go fuck yourself. Pull your troops, pull all of your troops out. Do whatever you want to do. Declare yourself an independent superpower. We've discovered already that we're fine without you. And guess what? We don't need you anymore, because you know what the strongest military in Europe is now? It's Ukraine. Biatch. And all we need to do is partner with our allies in Ukraine. We'll create our own particular alliance with the Ukrainians. We'll start, we'll enter into unilateral, multilateral, and bilateral defense agreements with the Chinese. We'll do that with the Indians. And guess what they'll do? They'll bring the Russians along so that the Russians won't be interested in colonizing the rest of Europe anymore. And we'll cut you out because you're a problem. So those are your choices, Pete. Once again, keep your mouth shut. Stay out of NATO's business. Respond when we need you, when we need the U.S. military. We'll tell you when we need. Hey, Irish Aggie, we'll tell you when we need NATO, when we need U.S. forces. We'll command them, because we can't have your idiot generals and we can't have your idiot Secretary of War involved. And we'll keep you posted, or else go fuck yourself. Okay, Pete? That's what I want to see happen. What I expect will actually happen is probably a little different. I have a sense that the Europeans are just going to be quiet about it and are just going to bide their time. They'll pay lip service, and NATO members. They'll pay lip service to the idiots. That's Hegseth and Trump. They'll pretend to participate in this stupid review. They'll step back. They'll allow Hegseth to make an ass out of himself because he doesn't know what he's doing. They'll allow this review because it'll be done by incompetent, dim-witted people, low IQ people. It's going to be white, and I know that every time Donald Trump is referring to a black person he doesn't like, especially black women, but black men as well, he refers to them as low IQ people. But this NATO review will be managed by actual low IQ white men from the U.S. And these low IQ white men will fuck it up, just like they fucked up the Iran war, like they fuck up everything else, because they can't walk and chew gum at the same time. And then this review will just go away, because it'll become such a disaster, such a clusterfuck, such a nonsensical. Didn't I tell you? I told you guys yesterday I was going to use less of the F word. Failing at that today. All right, I'm going to focus. I'm going to dial in, guys. Dial in. Try to use the F word less. Ooh, I just got a weird sound through my headset. Oh, just telling me there's an incoming call coming. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And my phone is connected to the computer now. First world problems. So anyway, that's what I expect NATO will do. This whole thing will fizzle out in a year. NATO will just buy its time and just let them fuck it up let the Trump administration fuck it up on its own. And they will just do their best to just not rattle the cage, hope and pray that the idiot doesn't create some other military catastrophe that they have to deal with between now and the time he leaves office in. Remember, the election's in 2028, right? Was it 2020? Wait, 2020. Does he leave office in 2029 or 2028? No, 2029, right? The election will be in 2028, in November 2028, and then he'll leave office in 29. Am I right? I don't know. Or is my math off on that? Lacey, we can last 2.5 years with this administration. Oh, we can't. We just can't. I hope we win the midterms or we are in big trouble. Irish Aggie, Lacey, I agree. Did you see the circus yesterday? I haven't seen the circus in ages. I didn't even know that show was still on, Aggie. What network is that on? I haven't seen that, or is it online? I haven't seen that. I used to like that, but I haven't seen it in so long. He can't help it with these fools. So I always want to try to put your mind at ease to the best of my ability. And look, I get it. I predict most things totally wrong, right? So I get it. I get it. Like, my powers of prognostication are far below average at best, right? But I truly, and I'll keep saying this over and over again, even if it brings you 5 minutes of comfort, and then you just go back to thinking Mitch doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. You, Democrats are going to win the House and the Senate easily, easily, even with the Republican gerrymandering, the efforts to cheat. Look, Georgia got cold feet yesterday. The Georgia legislature, Republican supermajority, got cold feet yesterday on the Governor Kemp's effort to totally gerrymander the state again, based before the 2026 election. So they're not going to do what Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Florida have done. So, they need that. Republicans desperately would have needed a gerrymander in Georgia. They're still going to win. Jon Ossoff now with the, defending his Senate seat in Georgia. Some MAGA total and complete nutcase won the primary last week. Ossoff was polling 8 or 10 points ahead of him, and that field might tighten up, but it's going to be a clear win for Ossoff. I'm not the least bit concerned. The governor's race in Georgia, I mean, you got a real solid chance at a Democrat winning Georgia for the first time in I don't even know how long, forever. And you just, take that scenario, rinse and repeat all over the country, even with the gerrymandering. We're going to be okay. Democrats are going to win. The only question I have, and I'm the only one that asked this question because nobody else believes it's possible, and I get it because I can be pretty naive and terribly stubborn while I'm being naive. But the only question I have is that could the Democrats possibly pull off enough unexpected upsets in safe red Republican Senate races that where Republicans underperform as they have been ever since the village idiot was sworn in on January 25th, 2025, or January 20th, 2025. And every single election of note has been an overperformance from like 5 to 30 points or more by Democrats, and a minimum 8 to 10 point underperformance, if not way more than that, in every Republican race, even in the deep red districts where they've won. Donald Trump isn't going to get any better between now and then. So I do believe it's possible that you get enough unexpected upsets in bright red states. James Tallarico, I'm certain he's going to beat Ken Paxton in Texas, 100%. Sherrod Brown in Ohio. I don't even know who Brown's going up against, but he was a popular senator forever. And then he kind of lost because of the MAGA wave. And now the MAGA wave is politically toxic. So I don't see a scenario where we don't win the House and the Senate easily. Mitch, I'm talking about Trump yesterday with that idiot Marco Rubio standing behind him, knowing damn well that he's have to fucking everything up. Hey, Patty Ann, I'm not sure what you're saying. Lisa, Irish Shaggy, you weren't talking about the show. There was okay. I get it, Aggie. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, there was this political show called The Circus that I can't remember the name. One of the guys who ran the show was he's actually a disgraced sexual abuser. So now, but I can't remember who else was I can picture the two guys who ran the show The Circus. I think it was on HBO or something, but it was actually a really good like political it was like a political reality show, and it was really good. I thought that's what you were referring to. My mistake. Sorry about that. So anyway, I'm sorry about that detour down into election detour, but I just want to try to, I hope to give you guys a hope that I think we're going to be okay. I feel confident we're going to be okay. But again, I get it. I I predicted Kamala was going to win, and I kept saying that. So so you know, take it with a grain of salt. Um. Anyway, if you want some frustrating, let's move on from the unmitigated aggravation, and go to a little bit of frustrated entertainment, because this is ridiculous. The reflecting pool, right? I don't know if you guys saw a post. It was a short-lived post. I pulled it down because it wasn't really doing much. But I've been triggering the MAGAs on, especially on Facebook, because I've been posting on and off about the reflecting pool, and they're really getting twisted. And I love when they get twisted, because it really adds. The algorithm doesn't care if people are calling you a libtard asshole, or if they're like, yeah, you're right. The algorithm just likes attention. So I've been doing these posts about the reflecting pool, and it's getting them all hot and bothered. And they some of them go on there and tell me all about reflecting pool science, and the understanding the biology of algae blooms, and how much of a dumb shit I am, and all sorts of glorious comments. So I you might as well milk it for everything it's worth. I mean, the more the more I post and the more they respond, the more attention I get. So I've done a couple of these posts. So if you haven't seen, this, I wouldn't hold it against you if you haven't seen images of the reflecting pool, because there's been so much other news. But if you have seen those images and those stories, it looks like this. It looks like it's neon green, right? It looks like a toxic lake that you would see like in an apocalyptic zombie movie, right? That is what the reflecting pool looks like. There was so much before this idiot hired this pool company and paid them $14.2 million to fix the reflecting pool and make it American flag blue all the time. Right before the idiot did that, the reflecting pool just looked green. Right, there was algae in it, but it looked like the water looked like our water here in New Jersey. Like, if you go, those of you who aren't from Jersey, you might not know, or New York or the Northeast. Like our beaches are. If you go to the beach, the water's green, and you just accept that. And I'm sure it has to do with organic material. It's not toxic sludge. It has to do with organic material in the water, and how it works up here. But it's green, and that's always what the reflecting pools looked like. So when we would go to DC and I would see the reflecting pool, I certainly would know better than to go in it. But it didn't. It was dark green. It was like, whatever. It's fine. Whatevs. And but now, as you can see in this picture, it's like not just green anymore. It's like apocalyptic zombie movie lake, toxic neon green. It's beautiful, right? Right? It's like it's gonna be so beautiful. You never, but Obama couldn't do it. Nobody could do it but me. I'm the only one. It's fantastic. I picked an incredible. It was very cheap, and I won the 2020. Biden lost with the auto pen. Right? So he did that, right? Well, now there's a video circulating around social media. You may not have seen it yet. This might be, maybe I have an exclusive story for a change, because maybe you didn't notice it yet. But this video is floating around the social media, and there's no reason for me to believe that it's fake. That it certainly doesn't look like an AI generated video. We can still generally spot those. And there's no reason to think that it's like somebody's pool and it isn't the reflecting pool. Perhaps it is, and I'll be proven wrong, and we'll all be proven wrong. But until then, I'm going to go with innocent and proven guilty on this one, and I'm going to argue that it is indeed the reflecting pool. And take a look at what else is in there. Let me just put the sound on so you can hear it.
And there's a nice big chunk of the reflecting pool. Yeah. Oh, it is blue. How about that? Big chunk of it for you.
3 days ago, I was able to drive right in front of the Capitol.
$18 million well spent.
Well, I mean, we have to fact check that particular tourist. It was 14.2 million, wasn't 18 million. So they have to be on. We have to keep everybody honest here. But I still appreciate his frustration with that. So now I don't know if that one, blue chunk. That's right, Patty Ann. You can't make this. You gotta laugh. You have to laugh. Like you have to appreciate the comedy, right? Like, everything Trump touches dies, right? Like you have to appreciate the comedy. Like who could I don't have a pool, right? I don't have a pool. I've never had a pool, but I feel pretty confident. If somebody was like, Mitch, we want our pool to be American flag blue, and don't fuck it up. Can you do that for us? And I agreed to it. I'm like, yeah, all right. I'm pretty confident, even with my profound ignorance about pools, right? Let's not even call it a pool. Let's call it a reflecting pool, right? Let's say the idiot called me or you. Mitch, if I don't like you, you say terrible things. I don't like you at all. You're not a nice, but you're very mean to me. But I need you to get it. I want you to get the reflecting pool. I want you to make it blue. You're going to make it blue. You're going to have $14.2 million. Do it for your country. And let's say for some ridiculous reason, I agreed. Okay, Don, I'll do it. Right? I got a fantastic company for you. They did my pools in Mar-a-Lago. The first thing I would say is, Don, Donnie, Don, baby, Don. This is not a swimming pool. So we're not going to hire those guys. I really want... No, Don. No. Stop it. We're not gonna hire those guys, okay? I'm gonna handle this. Fantastic. You're gonna do a great job. And then I'm gonna go to, prior to ChatGPT or Claude, I'm gonna go to the internet, do a Google search, but I don't need to. ChatGPT, Claude, I need to fix a reflecting pool. I need to paint it American flag blue for the idiot in the White House. How do I not fuck that up? And I know that ChatGPT would search the internet. And ChatGPT would tell me, Mitch, you got to do this. This. And you got to make sure you don't do this. Like maybe pour hydrogen peroxide into it. Because chunks of the painted pool are going to fall off. And by the way, Mitch, the reflecting pool has had an algae problem for decades. And painting it fucking blue and just fixing the leaks isn't going to fix it. Especially now with the summer sun and all the other problems. And you're going to get, Mitch, a green-colored toxic sludge that is going to look like a toxic lake in a zombie apocalyptic movie. So don't do it. I would have made phone calls, right? I sure as hell wouldn't have had a no-bid contract. And I could do that, guys. You could do that, right? Anybody in this call could do that. We could have fixed the reflecting pool without screwing it up. There'd be no chunks on it. And maybe we would have come back to the simpleton and said, Simpleton, I need you to sit. I can't sit. I can't. You can sit. You need to sit. Your cankles are swollen up to the size of, tree trunks. It's better to sit. Just make sure you elevate those feet because I can't have you drop it on me right now. I need to tell you this. All right, you're gonna tell me I'm sitting. Get me a Diet Coke and a well-cooked steak, please, and some ketchup. Whatever. All right, simpleton. We can't do it. Can't do it right now. Because every single scenario that has come up with has fucked it up. Obama tried it and they fucked it up. You need to give me several months, and we need to get people who know things to assess this and test things out and maybe clean little tiny bits of it. But you can't do it this way, right? You can't. You just got to wait and maybe not do it at all. It may be unfixable, and we're not getting rid of the reflecting pool, dumbass, like you got rid of the East Wing, because it's important to America. And if it has algae, nobody's given a shit for this long. Nobody needs to give a shit now. So go, I don't know, go fucking, please don't invade Cuba, right? That's probably the conversation. But they're so dumb. They're so impressively, remarkably, unequivocally dim-witted and eager to please and out of control and lazy and entitled that they even fuck this up. I mean, you got, yes, Patty Ann, they're chunks. And if there's one blue American flag blue chunk floating or sunk in the green ass reflecting pool, that's got to mean there's lots of chunks. And it's just a matter of time until the idiot orders the National Guard or the ICE Gestapo to cordon off the reflecting pool so nobody can see it, right? They're going to block it off. Maybe the idiot's going to put fencing around it or something so we can't get closer than 12 feet so nobody can see how RFK can swim in it. Actually, Aggie, I saw an AI. I know we don't want to encourage this AI slop because we don't want to encourage these data centers, but sometimes it's really funny. There's an AI generated meme going around the social media right now of RFK, bathing in the green reflecting pool. It was pretty funny. So anyway, let me show you. Just look at it one more time, just because a video's worth a gazillion words.
There's a nice big chunk of the reflecting pool. Yeah. Oh, it is blue. How about that? Big chunk of it for you.
3 days ago, I was able to drive right in front of the Capitol. Right up the
$18 million well spent.
All right, guys. So I just got the notice from my son's home from school now, so live streams have consistent visits from him. But he did just come in to remind me that my chorus daily briefing is in 30 minutes, so actually 26 minutes, and that I haven't made him lunch yet. So you know what? Fuck democracy. Kids gotta have lunch, guys. You gotta do what you gotta do. Let me just show you quickly what else we were going to go on, what we're going to review, what we were going to review, but I've got to make the Prince lunch right now. Memorandum of Understanding reveals some significant wins for Iran. That is an understatement. We went over that in depth yesterday. It's total and complete capitulation. It's total and complete victory for Iran. It is total surrender for the United States. I covered that in depth yesterday. And, I'll do some more posts about it, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Lastly, if you have a chance, check out, because the Epstein story is coming roaring back right now, especially with the Iran story slowly going away, at least for the moment. I keep telling you, from months and months and months and months ago, we knew that the Epstein story was never, ever leaving. The Epstein and the economy are never leaving. They will haunt this idiot until he leaves office. This is a great story in the Guardian. Something else popped into my head, but let me tell you this first. U.S. House staff visit Ghislaine Maxwell's prison after claims of laptop and puppy. It was Congressman, which one was it? Congressman Raskin and Congressman Garcia went to ask some questions about her treatment, her special treatment. They didn't. Spoiler alert: they didn't get any answers, but it's something. I would say if you want to, just my guess, and we see a lot of social media data too. Chorus where they share with us what's trending. This is Epstein is really trending hard right now, and it's going to be trending more. So you're going to see that. It's like trickle up economics in terms of news attention. Things trickle up through social media and they make their way to the mainstream media. So my expectation is we're going to see some blow up stuff with Epstein in the days to come. So this is a good story to know and a good story to be aware of. Anyway, I'm going to go make this child lunch. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 live at a time. That's how we get through this. We just keep chunking through it. Catch our breath. Come back and do it again. I love you guys. I will. This will be posted up in a little bit. It'll be on Substack and YouTube. The recorded post. If you are on Twitch, please make sure you follow and like Substack or YouTube. Please like and subscribe. For those of you on Substack, I have a 20% off. I need to get to 100 viewers, 100 paid subs sale going on. I know yesterday I was complaining about the fact that, I may change the way, I'm almost certainly going to change the way we do our Substack lives and our lives in general and my long form video, and that those changes are still sort of figuring them out. But if you want to support my work overall, a great way to do it is to upgrade to a paid live, and it's 20 or paid subscription. It's 20% off right now. So if that's something that's comfortable for you, this is a great time to buy into the deal. And I even if you check out my ad, I've got Donald Trump's angry face, asking for you to upgrade at 20% off. You got to do it. Mitch is fantastic. I don't like him, but he's trying to save democracy. You're going to be there with him. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Be well, everybody.